Hello, Stormies! What's good? Welcome to my channel where we stay up on hip hop culture and news. Let's dive into the latest in hip hop. While you're here, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.
Hey y'all. So, y'all, Drake dropped not one, not two, but three pretty mediocre albums last Friday, and I want to talk about them because I've actually been looking forward in to talk about the Drake Kendrick beef and do like a little bit of a post-mortem on that. And this seems to be a perfect opportunity because Drake still cannot let that shit die, girl. He still is very much on his mind. He still wants to litigate the beef. He still wants to talk about whether or not he won or he lost, even though at this point nobody cares. We just want Drake back. We just want bops again. Like, please, like, let this go. Like, no one's talking about this anymore. But the thing is, Kendrick scarred him so deeply psychologically that he has not been able to move forward with his life. And I kind of think that that was by design. So I want to do a little bit of a post-beef analysis, post-beef postmortem, and also a look at what I would say is the corpse that Drake showed himself to be on Iceman, Maid of Honor, and what was it, Habibi, which, girl, anyway, whatever. Anyway, let's get started. So the thing about rap battles is this, okay? Rap battles are a historic thing. They've happened time and time again throughout the industry. And oftentimes they result in rappers kind of sharpening their craft. They're usually highly entertaining because really it's a challenge, right? It's a challenge of your pen. It's a challenge to be able to confront your weaknesses. It's a challenge to hear the things about yourself that you may not want to hear, right? And truly, there's been a lot of rap battles in history, and a lot of times in many occasions, artists come out better off for them. I mean, some people end up and it's kind of like the end of their career, but oftentimes people come out better for them, right? Like, for instance, okay, Jay-Z and Nas, their beef was brutal, okay? And you could argue that Jay-Z lost, but did he really? Because he won in the long run, right? It gave him insight into parts of himself that he didn't want to see, and he came out on the other side more dangerous and more untouchable and more powerful than ever, because there's nothing more powerful than a man who integrates his shadow. And that's the problem that Drake is having, okay? But even when Drake had a battle with Pusha T, right? That darkened Drake. I mean, we got Scorpion after it. Obviously, the story of Adidon revealed his son's existence, which was a big deal. And I think that that is really when we started to see the sort of psychological victim mentality that Drake has, and he's held onto since then, that has only worsened since the Kendrick rap beef. But still, it was a darker version of Drake. It was an edgier version of Drake, but it was still very much Drake. And in a sense, it added another element to his music. You know what I mean? It almost made him, in a sense, like hungrier. Like, Scorpion was not a bad record, you know? And I would say that in white people business, I would argue that the Kim K, Taylor Swift thing was a rap beef of sorts, right? And I think that that sort of collapse resulted in Taylor coming back as a much more hardened, but much more resilient version of herself. I still do, like, fundamentally believe that the whole Snakegate cancellation resulted in a more powerful version of Taylor that we have today. The point is that this is supposed to be Phoenix, right? You go through the fire, you come out transformed. That's what these conflicts are for. But Drake did not do that. And I kind of think that that was by design on Kendrick's part. I'm not gonna lie to you, okay? So let's talk a little bit about what Kendrick actually did here, okay? I think, first of all, I don't want to feed too much into Drake's delusion and that the whole industry is against him, but I don't know that he's completely wrong about that, okay? Like, I honestly think that Drake had gotten too big, too untouchable, too messy, and he was doing too much. I mean, he was messing around with like Lucian Grange's like daughter-in-law, right? And doing weird stuff, right? So I really think that there were a lot of people inside of the industry who wanted to see him vanquished. And his oldest enemy had been sitting on these bones that he'd been collecting for many, many, many years. Because Kendrick and Drake have been going back and forth in songs, subtle jabs for years and years and years. But I really think that like the first true warning shot of the beef, like not many people think about this, but America Has a Problem remix with Beyonce, Kendrick literally says his career didn't come with no life insurance. I hope his day one fans has some facts on him, okay? Like, literally. And he goes, I'm honorary Beehive, you see why. Okay, anyway, point being, girl. Anyway, that to me was very much a warning shot that, listen, girl, you crossed me, baby. Like, I've been waiting for you, okay? That's what it was, you know? And I think that the thing about Kendrick is that Kendrick is about that life, right? I mean, he's the author of Good Kid, Mad City. This is not a theoretical life for him. And there are certain things that you say or do where, you know, you just have to perhaps metaphorically, celestially be discharged for. And especially if we're not going to do Biggie and Tupac in this day and age, I think he psychologically wanted to do that. Like, I think he wanted him gone permanently. The warnings were already there, but the problem is that The problem is that Drake was like too arrogant to see them, right? And I think, obviously the first stone throw at Stonewall was the like that verse on that Future Metro Boomin song, right? Bum! No, that was everything, okay? Listen, I still be listening to that song. That song's still one of my like top most played songs, okay? Seriously, I love that song. Anyway, but in response to that, Drake drops push-ups, right? And he literally in the song starts like mocking Kendrick, saying, drop, drop. Literally, this man begged for his own demise. And I think that is probably something that like haunts Drake late at night. How do you really get over something like that? I think that he was just too arrogant. He should have been afraid of Kendrick's silence. But Drake was too arrogant and he was resting on his laurels while Kendrick was simply preparing strategically on some art of war, planning what he was going to do. I mean, he literally said in Not Like Us that he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 5. Like he had 10 more tracks in the clip, dropping Give Me 20. So I wonder if he actually had 20 total. You have to wonder, girl. I mean, it's almost like Drake asked for it, right? It's brutal. And then obviously with Family Matters, like Family Matters was a pretty great diss track, but Kendrick did not let that shit have the light of day, right? Like he did not allow that to even have any oxygen because he dropped Meet the Grams right on top of it. And one of the things that Kendrick said in Meet the Grams I think is very, very important here. In Meet the Grams, Kendrick literally says to Drake, you need to take some, strip your ego from the bottom, okay? And the truth of the matter is, this is something that I said months ago when I originally wrote the script, okay? I think that was a poison-tipped bullet. Drake's only way out of this mess that he's in is ego death, like true, proper ego death. But because his enemy, his dismantler, told him that that's the tool, he, by virtue of it being told to him by Kendrick, is not going to listen to it. And so because of that, Kendrick has basically taken away the only thing that can actually heal Drake's mind from him because he counted on Drake's own arrogance. On Iceman, Drake literally says it. He literally says, I don't do psychedelics because I'm too scared of unpacking. Sometimes I only see myself in my therapist's glasses. And he says, but I don't really be paying attention to her because she's so attractive. Like, this man is pathologically afraid of looking inside. Because I think that if he really looked inside, he would see how hollowed out he's become by fame and how empty he feels inside, surrounded by so many material things, so much money, no friends, no happiness, no joy, no love, no fulfillment. Like, it is truly, truly a horrifying, like, existence to look inward. And I think that Drake is revolted by the possibility of it. And as a result, he's building a false narrative around himself, like a false statue around himself that isn't real life. It's fake. Because he can't just accept the loss and grow because he's not living in reality anymore. He's living in a silo. Basically, right now, we're living in subcultures of the internet. Like, Drake's fans have constructed an alternate universe for him where he won, or where at least he didn't lose, where who won is still up for debate. And Drake continues to consume that content and allow that content to feed his delusions. And these are his delusions that he continues to put this sort of thin, hollow narrative that he continues to regurgitate in his music. But it is also because he knows that it's not real, it has totally shaken his confidence. Someone who is confident in what they created does not release 3 albums at a wall to see what sticks. That is a man who has lost faith in himself, and has lost faith in his own ability to produce hits, and also doesn't really know who he is anymore, or if he has anything of value to say. And truly, that's kind of tragic. Instead, what we get is an album just full of grievances. He's going at Kendrick, LeBron, DJ Khaled, Rick Ross. He literally asked A$AP Rocky to celestially discharge himself. Former friends, former allies, everybody who showed up at the pop out. He's keeping receipts. He can't let it go. And it's sad. Even though, even in the Scorpion era, Drake was definitely bitter during that time, yes, but there was forward momentum. Right now, it really feels like this man is stuck. And in therapy, in therapy, you call this protest behavior. Drake keeps saying, I'm fine, I don't care, I'm over it. And that is just textbook. It's textbook saying he is not fine, he is not okay, and he is certainly not over it, okay? Even the title of the album is, once again, protest behavior. I mean, think about what Iceman means. He's trying to say, I'm cold, I'm untouchable, I'm over it, nobody can access me. But honestly, what I think he's really saying is that I'm emotionally frozen in time. I can't move past this certain moment. He literally says on the album, he says, part of me died in 2024. And I really think that part of him is very much stuck at the time where something that he thought was totally unthinkable, an opponent that he completely underestimated, totally totaled him and dismantled him. And it's not something that he can get past. And not only did he dismantle him, he made him beg for it. He begged for his opponent to totally dismantle him. He basically is flooding the zone because he doesn't have any confidence anymore, which is why he released so many damn songs. In conclusion, what makes me sad about all of this is that all of us who danced to Not Like Us, myself included, that was one of my top played tracks that year, okay? And those of us who went to Kendrick's concert, I was at the GNX tour, I had a great time there. Peekaboo was my #1 song, I think, last year on Spotify, okay? I don't want to see Drake go out like this, girl. I really don't. I think this is tragic because Drake is a hitmaker, man. Drake is a legend, you know, but Kendrick broke him psychologically. Like the Drake we know is gone and he is totally unwilling to do the deep self-work and undergo the ego death that would be necessary for him to heal the crater in his mind. And as long as he remains in the silos and continues to feed his delusions and his bitterness, he is going to remain neutered. He's going to remain devoid of things to actually say. He's going to remain bitter. He's like an old man in a house chasing shadows, like yelling at the walls. When everybody has long since left the table and left the party. It is really sad to see him go down this way. And in a sense, you know, a long time ago when I wrote this original script, it was Jay-Z saying that this beef in particular was bad for the culture. Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. He did sound kind of like an old head there. But honestly, though, I don't entirely disagree with him. And I don't think that it's like the fighting that's the problem. I think that it's that Drake is incapable of metabolizing what happened to him and coming out on the other side because of the fragility of his ego and his fear of actually looking inside and really, really taking stock of the hollowness that exists inside around him, you know? But anyway, yeah, so Iceman, definitely not no comeback girl, is basically a man submerged in formaldehyde, perfectly preserved in the moment where everything fell apart and his ego fractured and he lost himself and lost his identity and is too scared to dig deep enough to find himself again. And I think that that's tragic.
Reach me, baby. Call my phone and say you need me, baby. I'm so green, you gotta teach me, baby.
Why do I don't.
What song is that? What song is that?
It sounds like I Follow Rivers to me, though. I can't lie. I Follow Rivers. I Follow Rivers. I Follow
That
Rivers.
is, right?
I Follow Rivers, bro. No bull, bro.
Go on.
Yeah.
No, no.
All right, that's all for now. Remember to leave your opinions in the comments and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next video. Stay locked in, Stormies!